Welcome to Comic Book Reader Guide. Today we're going to take an extended look at the Kindle Fire HD. The Kindle Fire HD is a 7-inch tablet. Amazon touts it as the world's most advanced 7-inch tablet, and there's quite a number of pros to this tablet. It is from Amazon, one of the world's most trusted brands. The 7-inch size is very convenient. Some of you may have a hesitation about a 7-inch size tablet being much smaller than a typical standard comic size, either trade or monthly, but I want to give a comparison right after this. It might change your mind a little bit. And the display is just absolutely gorgeous. High resolution, gorgeous colors, sharp, reads well, and it has a very growing catalog of content that's available, including some of the better comic book readers out there. Now, it's not without some of its drawbacks, and you can take a look at the blog post for more about this, but it's not as large a selection. There are limits on the content. There's a couple of, I wouldn't say gotchas, but there's a couple of things that you just need to be aware of going into it. And one of which is some content may not be as readily available, such as DC Comics on ComiXology. There's an easy workaround to that. And the native Kindle doesn't support landscape orientation when you're doing your comic viewing. It's the same thing as when you're doing you're reading ebooks. It just is not built, it seems, for handling that landscape orientation. And as you know, in comics, that may be some people's preferred ways, either double page spreads or they prefer to use their tablet in a sideways and landscape orientation. The first generation Kindle Fire I really couldn't recommend. It was a little bit less than a 1.0 version product, but this Kindle Fire HD is a super solid offering, and I've been very pleasantly surprised by it and heartily recommend it for anyone who's considering it. I think it should be at or near the top of your list. I give this better marks than the iPad mini, for instance, because of its lack of an HD screen. I feel it's that important and that much of a deciding factor anytime that you're looking at a tablet, especially with something smaller. Without actually handing you a tablet, this is the best way I can communicate the relative size based on some comic formats that you may be familiar with. It is smaller than the modern current comic size of typical American monthly comics. And you can see the Kindle Fire here in the middle and that current comic size on the right. And you see it is quite a bit smaller. And this is the part where I think maybe some of you are sort of on the fence about a 7-inch tablet. It is almost the same size as a digest magazine format. Here I've got an example of a Archie double digest, and you can see that it's very close in size to that. The digest format reduces down the current comic size and reprints them in a smaller, more portable format. So this has already existed in print. It's happening more with digital with these 7-inch tablets, and the benefit of the 7-inch tablet is that, well, it's in some cases and most often a higher quality display than the print surface. It rivals the high value reproduction in art books, for instance, and plus it's adjustable. You can go ahead and zoom in, zoom out. You can, in many cases, rotate your tablet. So if you're hesitant about a 7-inch or the Kindle Fire HD, keep this in mind. I think it may change your mind in some cases. Okay, let's dig in. So that's the opening screen. You'll see ads on your Kindle Fire. I'm used to it. I don't think it's a big deal. Sometimes they're pretty relevant. And let's take a tour. Here's some samples and other comics that I've purchased and downloaded, just to kind of give you an overview of some of the selection and apps we'll be going ahead and taking a little bit of a tour through to give you a sense of what options are available for comic book readers on the Kindle Fire. Let's go ahead and start with exploring the store, the integrated bookstore. You can see here that have some items on the device. Let's take a look at the store and see what content's available. typical Amazon fashion, a number of recommendations for myself, and categories to browse through. So let's go ahead and take a look at comic books with the Kindle panel view. So these are comics that are formatted with the ability to read in Kindle panel view if you so choose. They're still available in page format as well. Let's check out some comics and graphic novels. So a number of titles, 12,000 here on this particular time, and then let's look into how a details page works. So you can see reviews, ratings, easy ways to sample. Go ahead and just download this. This is in real time. It's not sped up, so that can be pretty quick. So just a click, I have it available, and then I can go ahead and just immediately start digging into the comic. So this is the integrated Kindle reading app that's available on the Kindle Fire. I'm just swiping through the different pages. Some books contain more preview content than others. In this particular case, trade paperback, there's quite a bit of preface material before you get to the actual comic stuff. And this is the Kindle panel view. So by double tapping, I can enter into that mode, and it shows the page view, but a focus on the particular panel that you may be interested in. And then you can go ahead and navigate back through the different Kindles. And then when I exit out, gives me a sense of what other customers bought after purchasing this. So I have that available. Let's go ahead and show another book, Uncanny X-Force here. This is also a sample that I previously downloaded, and has a number of pages of content. And here we go in the Kindle panel view. So you can see that it's useful and helpful, but it's also highly dependent on the layout of the page in terms of how much it's going to be your preference of reading or not. I think sometimes it depends a lot on the artist and a lot on the writer, the way that they choose to work with their content. Let's take a look at Comics by ComiXology. This is a service that I highly encourage people just download. The app is free. It contains a number of free comics, quite a large variety for you to choose from. If you've had an iPad before or are familiar with their website, you'll know their great level of service and options that are available, and you can go ahead and browse by publisher, get a sense of the wealth of publishers that they have in their catalog. You can browse by creator, for instance, if you want to follow your favorite creator. And if you do have an account and you've made purchases on other platforms, you'll see that you can go ahead and synchronize that here. And so we can see a lot of my library, it's available. And if I go to the My Comics section, this is where I can do my device management. So these are comics that I've explicitly asked to be downloaded to my Kindle Fire here. And let's just to take a look at a few comics. I prefer to read full page view. It's what I've been used to. Just carry over from print days, and it works well on the 7-inch. But if I want to, here's the guided view technology. So it's similar to the Kindle panel view in that the focus is on the panels, but you can see here that it reads much more like a storyboard script. They turn the panel into the page for the guided view on ComiXology. So that's a keen difference in how you may want to consume comics. And if you want to go ahead and navigate to a different page, got a thumbnail navigation that's available. And let's close out of this comic. Let's take a look at another comic. So here I was already reading and just picking up where I left off on this issue of New X-Men. Here are some simple settings that are available in ComiXology that tailor the reading experience. And let's go check out another app. So we're back on the home screen. And for those of you who like to have hands-on management, CBR, CBZ files, ComiCat's the first place I recommend that you investigate. It's a pretty simple interface. You're able to just get right in and start to view comics that you have access to. These were preloaded onto my device. I simply copied them over to a comics folder. And go ahead and select some of the options here. You can see I also have the thumbnail navigation view in ComiCat, so I can navigate around in my comic and bring up the menu again. Here are some of the options that are available: commenting on Facebook, hiding the title, some others. Here's the viewer settings. A lot more flexibility compared with ComiXology. You're going to find that with these apps that require you to manage your own content. And speaking of apps where you manage your own content, let's take a close look at Perfect Viewer. So this is the viewer for your advanced comic book reader, somebody who wants an infinite degree of flexibility and control on the app. So that main menu options there, those are hotspots where you can access your options. Here's the bookshelf view. Looks pretty standard compared with the apps we've looked at so far, but there's a high degree of flexibility here that's offered. You can simply swipe through just like you would with the other comic viewers. And then you can go ahead and navigate by page and skip to the end. And within these menus, there's just a plethora of options. Here's different effects that you can do, different image scalings that are available, filters for image quality, preferences, a whole host of preferences. Just see our deep dive review on Perfect Viewer if you're interested in some of the more advanced options that are available with this comic book reader. One of the things I'm getting asked most is to show comics reading in a landscape orientation, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll just do another quick breeze through some of the applications and comics that I have loaded, just to give you a sense of how each app and experience is handled. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at content purchase of the Kindle store, and don't adjust your set. That's what happens. It's simply not supported in landscape mode. You can go ahead and use the Kindle panel view to get a better sense on pages, but if you're looking to sort of tilt your device and have it orient itself landscape, not going to be really possible. But the other apps that are available do support landscape mode and do so quite effectively. So let's go ahead and dig our way back in the ComiXology and go ahead and navigate back to some of the issues that I have. You can see that you can browse in landscape fashion, or you can also go ahead and open up content in landscape fashion. Now, you're not maximizing your screen real estate when you view this way in particular, but you can go ahead and jump right into panel view. This is where I think it makes the most sense, is going ahead and working with panel view in like a landscape orientation. And simply double tap in order to move out modes. All the options are available. And again, being able to browse in the store in landscape mode, pretty seamless. Next one to take a look at is ComiCat. Also, not a problem browsing your catalog in a landscape orientation. And there's a few more options available for viewing here. So some folks have mentioned to me that they prefer to read this way, where it's formatted for the width of the page, and you simply scroll down the page in order to read it. Maximizes the screen real estate. It's also very close to, or if not a little bit larger than, printed comic size. But if you prefer, you can go ahead and set it to being like in ComiXology, where it just shows the full page size. And this is the flexibility that's offered with some of the other comic book readers on the Kindle device. And if we go to Perfect Viewer, again, it's the same sort of situation. It allows you to go ahead and orient your comic reading experience to landscape if that's your preference. So you can go ahead and kind of scroll up and down, and then flick to navigate from page to page if you so choose. Perfect Viewer also offers a few other settings that for page layout and for scaling your image. So we can go ahead and show what it looks like here for fitting to height. And there you go. There is comic book reading landscape mode on your Kindle Fire HD. So if you've enjoyed Comic Book Reader Guide and this review, please subscribe to our videos. We're going to be doing many more. And be sure to check us out on comicbookreaderguide.com for more details, screenshots, and more about your favorite comic book readers. Thanks.